This is Access 2016, Module 5, Part 12. And in this segment, we're going to be creating a lookup field. So we're going to be working in our billing table. We want to set it up so that when we go to enter in an invoice, the invoice item will pull in a description and put that in our file in a lookup so that we can make it easier to choose what the items are that we are billing our customers for. All right, so we are back in our Care Center database. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the tables. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the table billing. And here, this invoice item number, it just says Lab 001, but if we don't know what that means, we don't get any kind of a lookup to help us select the right code. So what we want to do is we want to create a lookup that will look up the codes that are available in the invoice item table and bring a list in so that we can view it during the data entry. So let's go into Design View. If you try to do this and you come in here, you could, when you start the Lookup Wizard, get this error message that says this field is part of a relationship. That means the field was used to connect to another table. And when you build the lookup value, it tries to create the relationship for you. So you have to remove that relationship first. So we're going to close this table, not save the changes. And I'm going to go to Database Tools. Then we're going to go to the relationships. And you can see that we have this relationship between the invoice item field and the invoice item table. So you're going to right click on that line. You get two options. You can edit the relationship. So if you did need to make changes as to whether you were cascading deletes, cascading updates, enforcing in referential integrity, you could come in here and make changes to the relationship. The other thing you can do is delete the relationship, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to say yes. So we no longer have a relationship between those tables. We're going to go ahead and save that change and close our relationships. Now we're going to go back into billing. And when we build this lookup window in Design View, it is going to create a relationship for us. So we're going to click on the data type and come down and choose Lookup Wizard. You need to make sure you are in the row for the invoice item ID when you make this change. So now it comes up and gives us a lookup window so that we will, lookup wizard, excuse me. We're going to start answering these questions and it will help us create the lookup list that we want during data entry. Notice if you didn't have another table or query that contained the values you wanted, you could type them in. We're going to use another table, so we're going to leave that checked. And now it wants to know which table we're going to use for our lookup, and we're going to use the invoice item. Okay, now it's asking us which fields we want to see in our lookup. We want to see both. So we're going to go ahead and insert them both. And then we're going to say next. Now it wants to know how to sort them. Do you want to sort them by the IDs or by the descriptions? We're going to sort them by the descriptions because we think more people that are doing the data entry will be able to remember those descriptions. So we're going to have them sort that way. And now there are two options here. The first option is if you hide the key field. That's what they say is recommended right now, and if they do that, it's only going to show you the descriptions. If you uncheck this box, now it shows you both. Now let's say I wanted to move one. I'm going to click on it a second time so that you see the solid line. And just like before when we were moving a column, you're going to move the dark line to where you want it. So if we wanted the description to be the first field that they saw, then we could switch the order of them. I like to kind of scroll down and make sure that all of my text is visible. Otherwise, you could enlarge these fields if you needed to. And then we're going to click on Next. And now it wants to know, when you select a field, what are you storing in the row in the database? We are going to store the invoice item ID. Then we're going to click Next. It says, what label are we using? We're still calling it the invoice item ID. And so we're going to click Finish. It says a table must be saved before we can create relationships. So do we want to save it? And we say yes. Now it doesn't look like it did anything because it's right back to short text. But let's go over and switch to our data sheet view so we can see what happened. You can see now that it displays in the cell the description, and it gives us a lookup value, a lookup list showing the options. Let's go ahead and close our table and save the changes. And let's go back into our database tools. I want you to see that it did create this relationship. So again, if I did a right click on that line, I could come in and edit the relationships, and I could tell it to enforce my referential integrity. So you could place that back on there. I'm going to then save and close. If I open up my billing table, you see we still have our lookup. So that involves creating a lookup value. And as I said before, if you have a small field, like looking up a yes or a no, or a male or a female, you can type in your values instead of storing them in another table. That concludes working with a lookup value or a lookup field.